Hey everyone, Max is here. Welcome back to the channel. Today's topic is flying Apache Ah-64. Recently, Eagle Dynamics, they released the update of the Apache as well, and I went through the manual once again to refresh my memory about the SCAS operation and the flight controls in general before starting flying this helicopter. I know I didn't like the SCAS operation before, so I don't like it now either, but I'm not sure if it's correct way of the simulation of the SCAS done by Eagle Dynamics or it's not. We will discuss it later on, but today's topic is more importantly, I will try to explain some technique to you, maybe in order to get a better flying skills with this helicopter. I've seen a lot of videos, people are struggling flying this helicopter. I mean, like in those advices people are giving to themselves, I mean, they're not really making difference. What I would like to talk to you, it's the specific things which SCAS provides us, and no one really talks about that. After that, we have a lot of people struggling with the heading control, keeping the heading control and all this stuff. Before we start, why I decided to make this video, the friend of mine, we used to fly, we actually flew together the day before yesterday online, and I taught him some technique I just picked up from the manuals, and he was blown away how he was able to improve his flying with the Apache, knowing the stuff I told him. So yeah, it's not going to be very short, it's going to be long video, and if you are looking for some manuals, not the manuals, like tutorials как shoot the Hellfires, it's not the right channel for you. I'm talking about the flying in general. I'm a pilot myself. I'm not considering myself as a helicopter, like the real life helicopter pilot, because I do have only 150 hours on Bell 206, which is negligible. But I haven't been flown just a straight direct flights from one point to another, cruising flights. I was doing a lot of maneuvering, I would say. And most of my 1,000 hours are coming from airplanes, different types and all this stuff. Now I do airline flights, but anyway, point is flying helicopter today. You know, when I was a flight instructor, the people were coming to start flying, the students were coming, and some special treatment should be applied to people who was starting their flying career after the flight simulation, after the flight simulators in general. So the point is, when people are flying in flight simulators, they stick to the instruments, but the main thing, so basically you should make sure that you get rid of this habit, teach them how to fly without instruments, and after that, once they are familiar with flying in general, then they will learn how to fly instruments flights as well. I mean, that's the correct way. So because this very nice machine, very technologically advanced machine, does have all the bells and whistles you can imagine of, like those HDU helmet display unit and all this stuff, which shows every single, I don't know, deviation you can imagine. First of all, you should get rid of it, because what I can see, people, even during the hovering, they just try to chase those velocity vector or vertical speed or whatever you can see on indication. Just put the I button, get rid of this monocle. You will use it later on once you good in flying helicopter, because it will expand your operation limits after that. But first of all, we need to fly the helicopter in the proper way. So get rid of this monocle. The other thing is, just because we do have like Eagle Dynamics helicopters, like Kama 50, Mikayan, Mil, like Mi-8, Mi-24, and this one Apache. That's the best representation, UH-1 as well. It's the best representation of the helicopter dynamics, flight dynamics in simulator in general. So that's the best of the best flight dynamics you can find. No, it's not perfect. There is no such a thing like a perfect simulation. It's just a very good and best than any other. And if we are talking about the very best simulation, we have to have the best flight controls for it. For me, I'm using the FFBs, like it's force feedback devices for rudder pedals and stick. It can develop a lot of force, but we don't need it here in helicopter in Apache. But the point is, because I'm using force feedback devices, I really can use this force stream system, and I can fly this helicopter in the way it's supposed to be flown in reality. So, but if you don't have such devices and you are using something different, you can get rid of your springs and adjust your dampers. I know that the latest versions of joysticks bases from VKB and Whirlpool, they do have these dampening, adjustable dampers. So what you can do, you can completely get rid of the springs, or just completely remove them, or make them as loose as possible. You don't have them, and adjust the dampers accordingly. Even for the if you don't have any dampers on your rudder pedals, just remove the springs. Make sure you don't have any. Why we need it? Just because the way this helicopter is supposed to be flown, it's just you have to be able to freely move flight controls when the RTF button is pushed. And it's never an option if you're using the spring-centered joystick. So get rid of those springs. It will help you out very much, because this implementation of trimming, like fake trimming, when you're using the spring-loaded to the center position joystick, it's not just the correct way. You will be messing with your mind, and it will be very difficult to fly the helicopter. So once we're done with the flight controls, we got rid of this monocle. The other thing we have to be thinking about is, or taking into the consideration, that every airframe you are flying, would it be fixed wing aircraft or the helicopter, you have to be flying ahead of the aircraft. I mean, like, you have to be analyzing all the possible income from the outside environment or the instruments, and you have to analyze this stuff and think in advance what is going to be in the next second, and apply the flight controls, movement, or trimming or whatever, like thinking about it in advance. But the point is, if you are still good, if you are flying reactively, not proactively with the aircraft, let's say you've got a bumps, thermal activity, or just winds gust, and you are flying reactively, just contracting those force actions on you from the from the weather, let's say, it's not very good for the helicopter. If you are flying it reactively, you're already behind the airframe and behind the aircraft. So you all the time when you have to be flying helicopter, just do everything proactively. I mean, think in advance, and not react in a very abrupt way. Just think it through, or give it half a second to settle down the new position. What I'm talking about is, like, you can see the windsock in front of me, and we have winds are coming from 1:30, I guess, like 1:30 from the right. And so in this situation, what I've been thinking, the way I'm supposed to be thinking is that, let's say I'm supposed to be flying, hovering this helicopter with a slight left bank, because my tail rotor my normal hovering position with a slight left bend, because my tail rotor, which provides contraction of the main rotor rotation, it makes me to drift to the right. So that is why even my shaft of the main rotor is tilted slightly to the left, but it's not enough. That is why the normal way of hovering this helicopter, you have to remember this position of the airframe, which is inside of your, field of view, how it reacts on the environment when you hover in a normal position. But now I'm thinking I've got some winds coming from the right. That means that upon lifting off, I will supposed to see my cockpit in a less bent than normal, in just a little bit less bent position as normal, because I need to contract not only the tail rotor drift to the right, but also the winds which tries to pull me away left. So that's the way you have to be thinking. And while you are rotating helicopter around the vertical axis, pointing the different direction, you constantly have to be thinking where the winds are coming from and where the cycle should be put into the wind to prevent my helicopter drifting. That's the normal way you have to be thinking. So now we've got this one discussed, and now we can start to talk about the Apache itself, before we even lift off. Sorry about that. It takes a while, but it has to be. We have to talk it through, otherwise it's not going to work. So what we have here, we don't have a rigid connection. Well, we do with some extent. So we don't have, let's say, we don't have a direct connection at this moment when the SCAS is operating. We don't have a direct connection to the actuator, hydraulic actuator. What we do instead, we are manipulating our flight controls, which on this diagram, you can bring this diagram, right control and enter this flight control view. The white diamond and for the stick and the white diamond with the vertical bar for the rudder pedals is a representation of the position of my flight stick and rudder pedals. The green thing, like the vertical bar for the rudder pedals and the cross for the cyclic, is the actual position of hydraulic actuators. So what does SCAS? SCAS, it stands for Stability Command Augmented System. It's not only stabilize us by dampening our cyclic movement or controls input, it also tried to help us out to get this desirable angular speed of airframe when we're trying to tilt or pitch the aircraft down or up, because it does have information coming from the position sensors. I forgot the abbreviation of it, like the linear position sensor, something like that. So you've got a position sensor which are giving information to the flight management computer, and also it takes some information from EGI, which considered to be like a gyro, and compares it, and it tries to see if you're able to achieve this angular speed or not, and if you are in the range of authority of this SCAS, which is like 10% each way of your current neutral this sleeve position, SCAS sleeve position. So it will try to help you out to move the hydraulic actuator even faster and more forward even than your actual implementation of the stick, which is not really I'm the really fan of, because it does make the flight controls very sensitive, and I think it's still arguable the implementation of SCAS by Eagle Dynamics in this case, because I also read that the SCAS shouldn't be working on the ground while we have our weight on the wheels, like squat switch are on. So you can see right now, to prevent the oversteering on the ground, it's supposed to be switched off. But once we are hovering, it will switch on. You can see when I'm moving, the white diamond shape is moving not that far away as a green actuator itself. The same true for the rudder pedals. So what do we need to do, even for your flight controls without springs? It's to set the trim up or forward. In the controls it says RTF, release trim force. For me, it does the same thing what it does in a real helicopter. It removes the spring tension, and I can freely move my flight control rudder and stick and release it there, and now the springs are active with the new neutral position. But why do you need this one for yourself? It's just because it's not only the disconnecting you from the springs, it's also deactivating the SCAS. What does it mean? That the sleeve, the sleeve means you've got a rigid connection from your stick to the rod, and this rod, I would say it's supposed to go all the way to the hydraulic actuator, but you do have this sleeve which is controlled by SCAS, so it can move a little, about 10% of your range of movement each side. So when you move in your stick, it can be like deselected. The rigid connection will break, and the SCAS itself have some authority. So let's say you move a lot, but the SCAS would like to damp a little your movement, so that will move the actuator in the opposite side, just contracting this total length of the rods. So the one road pushing rod is coming from your flight control stick to this sleeve, and the other one is from the sleeve to the actuator itself. So once you are releasing, when you're pushing this RTF button, you're not only getting rid of the springs, which is true for me or the other person with the flight force feedback devices, but it also make your flight controls, your connection to the actuators rigid. So this sleeve is in a constant position, and it moves to neutral position. So whatever position you are releasing this RTF, now you reposition the neutral position of the sleeve and the neutral position of the spring. Why do you need all of this? Just because I've seen a lot of videos, even the tutorials, the people try to teach other people how to fly Apache, and all of them, even the bringing this diagram, they can't really understand what is going on. They're fighting against the sleeve in a way they shouldn't be fighting it. I mean, the one thing is like the heading hold mode, which is very basic and like a general mode. Once we are lift off, once we are hovering, this mode is all the time active for the rudder pedals, for the yaw axis. That means that we shouldn't be touching or moving our rudder pedals, because once we release this RTF button in the position we are hovering, it will keep the heading in the same position we have released this button. Okay, yeah, hold my beer and watch this. I mean, like too much talking. I should be proving you that I really can fly anything. Like it's going to be very difficult. So there is no easy way to fly a helicopter. There is no such a thing like a silver bullet or something similar. It's not like you know some cheats, tricks, and now you're a perfect helicopter pilot. No, it doesn't work like this. Only a lot of flying, only your experience makes you better helicopter pilot. So in particular in this particular type also, because you have to get yourself familiar with all this cockpit around you and how all these visible parts of the cockpit are seen like against the environment around you on different regimes. So let's go ahead and try to lift off for now. Sorry about that, folks. My English in this long video doesn't make it easy, but you know, maybe you will learn a thing or two. Yeah, I'm implementing the pedals brakes for now, and what I'm expecting to see, just one more time reminding you that my left bank shouldn't be very pronounced, because I do have some winds are coming from the right, and it will help me out actually. Now I'm pushing the RTF button. I'm always doing this just because I want to have a rigid connection to my flight controls before I can release this RTF and give authority to the SCAS to help me out. Let's say here I am hovering. Let me stabilize myself, find this sweet position where I can hover to contract these winds and to find my you know, better hovering position. Now I'm hovering, and while I'm implementing this collective, I have to apply rudder pedals and all this thing. Let's say when I'm good with the heading, I will point my nose to the windsock. I can release RTF button, and you can see what is going on now, right now. I shouldn't be moving my rudder pedals anymore. I'm using the cyclic only and the collective to keep my helicopter in place. And you can see this green bar moving all over the places, left and right, while I'm implementing collective and cyclic, trying to keep me in this hold position. So what normally I can see on a YouTube people do, they implementing all of these control inputs, and what they do, they actually using the rudder pedals as well. When they bringing up some collective, they contract it with the left pedal, but they don't have to do this because the SCAS tries to keep the heading itself, and then they implementing some rudder pedals. It doesn't respond because there is a breakout displacement which will tell after which position the SCAS will get the command to start move the heading or turn the heading or like rotate the heading or whatever. So the point is, and what is going on? The people implementing some pedals. There is no SCAS is doing his job, holding the heading. When this implementation or this displacement of the rudder pedals is you know, good enough, I can't remember, it's 1/2 or 3/10 of the inch for the rudder pedals to break out displacement, and then after that it will not longer holding the heading, it start to move it, and that is why the helicopter you know, wobbling its nose. Let's say I want to not reposition, just turn around a little bit and point the nose 90 degrees to the right from this current position. I won't deselect at this moment. I won't deselect I won't push the RTF button just now. I'm going to show you how it works with the RTF or the current trim position. You can see that it's the green bar, vertical green bar, and the white bar are perfectly aligned. Just because I've released it in a perfectly stable state, I released this button. And you also should know that it takes you around the half, like the middle position of the rudder. It's almost made it is in the center. The rudder pedals should be in the center when you hovering with the torque about 50%. Now we do have 53, and the winds from the right. That is why we have just the rudder pedals slightly to the left. So now what I'm doing, I'm thinking that I'm turning right into the wind. Now you can see my white bar start to move because I'm moving it, but it didn't reach the breakout displacement just yet, and that is why you can see the green bar tries to keep the heading while I'm applying some right pedals. And after that, after the breakout, I keep pushing it right. After the breakout displacement, you can see it's actually switching off the heading hold mode for me, and it start to act as a damper. It allows me to change the direction. When I've changed my direction, I should be thinking. So I do have some winds are coming to the left, from the left. So that is why I have to be hovering even with the slightly more of the left bank than normal, than in a normal hovering in a still air. So let's say I'm happy with this heading. I'm trying. You can see because I was out of the authority of this sleeve or the SCAS. I don't have any cyan brackets anymore of the which like should be placed 10% each way from the current position of the rudder pedals position. I'm just moving around because like trying to look at the very top left corner. What I have to do for now to make it hold position again, I have to reposition this red cross, which represents the neutral position of this of my four-stream spring, and also the neutral position for the place where you would like to re-engage your sleeve, for the neutral position of sleeve. So I'm pushing the RTF button now. You can see. Oh yeah. Let me handle it, because that is why I do some maneuvering with the RTF button pushed, and then releasing it when I'm about to start hovering. Let's do it now. So you can see those cyan brackets now, and because of the wind's directions, we have to be hovering right now with a slightly left bank, and also because winds are trying to turn us around into the wind. That is why we need to implement some much more of the right rudder instead of left. Even we having almost the same torque, 52. Yeah, and you can see it's also right now it works in the heading direction, heading hold mode. So I will push the RTF button once again. Those cyan brackets went off, and now I've got a rigid connection of flight controls. Now I should be flying this thing as a real helicopter. I say real because I do like real stuff, not like fancy fly-by-wire and things. Yeah, we will reposition ourselves to the runway 31 at the beginning of the runway, and let's say we want to be hovering with our tail directed, or we will put our tail into the wind. Yeah, that's about right. So right now we are hovering with the tail into the wind, and I do it manually. You can see this diagram that my flight controls, the green crosses and the bars, they are moving exactly with my flight controls application, with my white representation of the flight controls position. Once I'm happy with the heading, I can release this button, and I shouldn't be even thinking about moving my rudder pedals anymore. Because if I will do, I will confuse myself with the response I'm not getting from the helicopter. So that's the point. While I am in transition, I'm not. I am pushing the RTF button to get full authority to myself, to be in control. And once I'm happy, I will deselect the new trim position and new neutral trim position for the SCAS. Okay, let's go ahead and turn around once again. We'll build up some speed, and I will so anyway, let's talk some more about the hovering and drifting. Yeah, let's say we decided to move slightly, not in a hovering, but we decided to move this way. I don't know how to say it, sideway. Yeah, we're going sideway, and I'm pushing the RTF button for now. But what if I would like to make my life easier with that? Once I'm happy with the position and direction of my and with the heading of my aircraft, I can release the RTF button now, and it will also keep heading for me. So now I should be only paying attention for the cyclic and hovering, but I shouldn't be worried about the nose position of my helicopter. So I can fly this sideway very easily until I have enough authority for the SCAS to operate. You can see the faster I go, the more right pedals have to be implemented, and after that I can get out of the SCAS authority. Now this vertical green bar is getting out of the SCAS authority, and even it tries its best, it can't stop this rotation. Now, while I'm reducing the torque, see, if I'm not implementing RTF, this behavior of this green thing is not really predictable. It doing its thing. Let's say let's stop the helicopter. Let's say we decided to go forward. The other good thing, this aircraft is very, very advanced. It does have a lot of things to help to reduce the pilot workloads. Yeah, and like attitude modes and attitude holds and everything. So once I'm happy with the center line, with positioning myself along the center line, I can go ahead and release the RTF button. Yeah, it will hold the heading for me. I will gain some altitude for now, and let's say I'm happy with this new position. I will engage this 5-position switch. The forward position is the RTF button. If I will push it to the left, nothing happens. Yeah, it happens. You can see the attitude hold now is on, and now I'm not controlling the aircraft. It tries to bring it to the position which the helicopter was when I pushed this attitude hold button mode, hold button. And now mode is set, and it does use its inertial system to keep its current position. Yeah, and if I will go and switch the right, this trim head to the right, I will engage the radar altitude hold. So I don't have to do anything right now. You can see the cyan brackets, and it's hovering perfectly in one position by itself. So what is going to be now if, let's go ahead and I will deselect the radio altimeter hold, and I decided to reposition myself somewhere. Again, that is why you need this RTF button, even you don't have any springs. You push in the button, it's momentarily connects you directly to the flight controls. It disconnects, or I would say it's pausing the attitude hold mode for you. And once you are in control right now, you can reposition yourself any direction or any place you want. Let's say here, I just want to hover, let's say facing nose to these fence. Let's say this direction. That's my new hovering spot. Yeah, and once I'm happy with the position, I can let me put the rudder pedals in a good trimmed way. Now I can deselect RTF, and it depots this attitude hold for now, and it will hold the position for me again, and I can reactivate the altitude hold. Let's say we want to fly somewhere. Maybe we would like to keep us tracking some targets and flying along the center line of this runway, heading forward like sideways and looking this direction. So while we are hovering with our tail into the wind, you can see the diagram, flight control diagram. The stick is just a little bit aftward from the center position. I'm pushing the RTF button now. It's still pushed. So make sure you are you making the right button for it, because you have to be able to use your flight controls and also keeping this button pushed. Let's say I want to move this way, sideways, and I can now release my RTF button. Oh, it's released. What I will see now is the attitude hold mode. When the ground speed is higher than 5 knots and less than 40 knots, it will keep my velocity vector the way I was starting to drift earlier. Now it's completely reduced my workload, because now I'm point all of my attention straight ahead, looking for targets or whatever. For now, I'm using my collective to control the altitude, but if I can, if I want to reduce it, my workload even more, I can go ahead and put radial altimeter hold to the right, and it will fly this velocity vector, this direction, this speed, ground speed, keeping the altitude. Everything is done automatically, no bothering at all. So let's go ahead and switch everything off. Yep, now I do have a flight control. Let's say I don't have any attitude hold mode selected now, and I want to fly this direction, because let's say I've started to I am in transition. I pushed my trim button, RTF now, and I'm started to gain some speed. And once I'm happy with the speed, like I'm getting close to the cruise speed, I will release my button, RTF button. So you can see once we are higher than 40 knots, it's not when the speed is less than 40 knots of ground speed, it tries to keep our heading hold. But when the speed is high, you can see those sign brackets are going away, and so this basic mode for the direction control now is turn coordination. So if I displace my cyclic to the right, there is a breakout displacement as well. It's consider that I want to turn, or when the yaw rate is higher than 3 degrees per second, and it works for me as a turn coordination. So it gives a little bit of rudder pedals to accommodate the coordinated turn for me. Let's say if I'm turning right to left, I'm not pushing rudder pedals at all. You can see the vertical green bar, it moves by itself because it's doing this turn coordination thing. So normally, once you want to get the full authority of the sleeve or reposition yourself, you just make sure if the current conditions are changed very much. Let's say you were hovering, then you are flying like 80 knots or something. Make sure you push the RTF button before, because it will reselect everything. It will set the new neutral position for the SCAS to operate Yeah, and that's very important. So if you don't have any springs and you are flying just a damped stick and rudder, so you still have to be using this RTF button constantly, just because it's the way this helicopter is supposed to be flown. It will make your life way much easier. Yeah, so what I would like to talk at the end of this video about the SCAS implementation. So as I told you before, the SCAS stands for the stability command. So this command thing is, I think it's a little bit disproportional. There is no such an information about like 30 degrees per second for the full range of movement of the flight controls, but I've seen it's emphasized in the Eagle Dynamics Apache manual. And it's very interesting because I was trying to replicate this in a simulation and I was unable to do so. It's not like it's actually taking into the consideration EGI position. It doesn't look like it is. So the point is, if I let's say I'm using the fuel page and I intentionally will redirect all the fuel forward and on the aft tank or the forward tank, and I will make my CG out of the normal range. Let's say my CG will be well beyond the aft position or very close to the maximum forward position. I will get different angular speed when I'm implementing the flight control, let's say the full aft application of the stick. My RTF is now pushed on. So let me gain some safe altitude for such a maneuver. I don't have opportunity to show you that it's really affected by CG, but I've tried it several times. It is affected. You can try by yourself. But what we're gonna do now, I'm releasing the RTF. The rudder will keep itself for me. What we can do now, flight, aircraft, flight. Yeah, what we can do now, I can show you that, let's say, implementation, the angular speed, they are not the same while I'm hovering. And all the time when I'm applying some cyclic movement, this green thing, the actual actuator position, will try to expedite my angular speed, which is not needed. Let's say we will go for implementation like more or less for 1 second, like 1/1000 neutral. I don't know. I've deselected the attitude indicator. Hold on a second. Let me deselect this one. Select this one again. Yeah, I know it's boring, but you know we kind of have to do this. Yeah, that's the thing. And let's say I'm doing the implementation. What I can see that the is more or less fine for the normal CG, like 30 degrees per second. Yeah, I do have some airspeed, just because I'm hovering against the wind, into the wind. That is why I do have some airspeed, but I might not have a ground speed. Yeah, like 1/1000, like it's like 45. Yeah, I mean it's not a proper way, but this technique you can try by yourself. If you do have different CG for this application, 1 second application of full aft flight control, you will see the different angles. Like you can be like 60 degrees pitch up. So it doesn't really look to me that EGI is control of this thing. Yeah, the other thing, I mean it's just, I'm not sure, I'm not a flight engineer, but technically I am, but not in this case, in this particular aircraft. So let's say I do have like 90 knots of airspeed now. RTF button is off. SCAS is implemented, like 1/1000. You can see now at 30 degrees. So the point the manual, yeah, you would say that we do have different speeds, different response and everything. Yeah, but the main point of this command thing of this SCAS is just to provide the pilot with the same response of the aircraft for the same amount of the flight control deflection. That's what I found in the manual, and also the Eagle Dynamics manual says the same. But what we can see, it's not the case, and also it's also affected by the CG. If you want to check it by itself, you just transfer the fuel in an appropriate way, use the crossfeed and get yourself in the out of CG position. I'm pushing RTF button, by the way, because it's more convenient for me to have a direct control of the flight control of an aircraft. Yeah, now it's released. So you can try it for yourself. You will get different attitude position after these flight controls inputs. So that is why it's kind of discussable thing, and that is why it doesn't really help much when you're hovering. It's easier to hover when you push this RTF button, when you have a rigid flight controls connection, and it's even more difficult when you're in a SCAS position. When you are not moving your flight stick, it's quite okay, but if you're trying to fix something, you know, let's say the winds are blowing you away and you're drifting away, you just wanted to fix it with the small application, flight controls application, you will see this green thing will move even further away than you want it to, and that is why it's kind of easy to induce those pilot-induced oscillation, and it doesn't really help you when you are hovering, which I think it shouldn't be the case actually. But yeah, I'm just rambling around about this stuff. It just also I can see that the Eagle Dynamics, they tweaking this thing constantly from one patch to another. I don't have any I don't see any major flaw like in the flight dynamics itself. That's because it's like above my pay grade, but I still have some considerations about this SCAS implementation. It's also above my pay grade, but you know, this SCAS thing should help you out more than it's you know, not helping you out. Well, it was very difficult to me to fly and explain everything in English, what I would like to say, and also I have to cut the corners because I'm not having the very good vocabulary for all of these explanations in English. That is why maybe it could sound very awful sometimes, but I hope you got the point. So this RTF button is very important, and it really helps you out when you're using it in a proper way. It helps you to hover, it helps you to move the helicopter around, and definitely it will help you in the battlegrounds. If you good enough with flying, you can go ahead and try yourself to hit the targets with this perfect helicopter. Thank you very much. Thank you for flying with me today. Thank you. Bye.